Welcome to the deep dive. Today we're grabbing our sources, dusting off on writing, and stepping into Stephen King's workshop.
Yeah, his very practical, very pragmatic writing workshop.
And we're not really here for the horror tips specifically, are we? We're digging into his whole philosophy of writing, kind of taking it apart piece by piece.
Right. Our mission really is to get at King's core rules, the stuff he thinks is absolutely essential if you want to write well.
It's about seeing writing as, well, a craft first, isn't it? Something you learn and build, like carpentry.
Exactly. Less about waiting for some artistic lightning strike and more about methodical work.
And his entire way of thinking about it seems to hang on this one really powerful metaphor.
Oh yeah, the toolbox. The legendary heavy toolbox.
This thing that belonged to his carpenter grandfather, Faza, and then his uncle Oren inherited it. A handmade 3-level wooden chest.
And not just some flimsy thing either. He describes it, bound with brass strips, tiny nails, heavy-duty latches, real craftsmanship.
But the detail that always gets me is the lining inside the lid,
Ah, yeah, the silk lining, faded pinkish-red cabbage roses.
which sounds delicate, but then he says it's ingrained with grease and dirt. It's such a brilliant contrast, isn't it? Function and something oddly beautiful underneath.
Totally. And the weight. You can almost feel it when he describes trying to lift it as a kid.
Barely budging it. He figures, fully loaded, it must have weighed 80, maybe even 120 pounds. Just immense.
But the real point, the lesson, is in that little story about Uncle Oren.
Right, you had to fix a small screen, one little job, needed one screwdriver.
And yet he lugs this massive 80-plus pound box all the way across the yard. King asks him why.
And Oren's answer is basically King's whole writing philosophy in a nutshell.
Yep. He says, I didn't know what else I might find to do once I got out here.
It's best to have your tools with you. If you don't, you're apt to find something you didn't expect and get discouraged.
That's it right there. That's the mandate for the writer. You have to build your own toolbox. King even suggests, 4 levels?
At least 4 levels, yeah. And then you need the mental muscle to carry it.
So when you hit a snag in your story, you can just reach in, grab the right tool immediately, and not lose heart, not get discouraged.
Okay, so let's unpack this writer's toolbox. Level 1, the top tray. What are the absolute essentials?
Vocabulary and grammar, right on top.
And King's take on vocabulary is, well, it's kind of surprising, isn't it? Especially for anyone who's tried those word-a-day things.
Totally. He actively warns against trying too hard to consciously improve your vocabulary.
Because why? Because it leads to fancy, unnatural writing.
Pretty much. Leads to overdressing the prose, as he puts it. His line is great. It ain't how much you've got, honey. It's how you use it.
So the warning is like, never use a $5 word when a 50-cent word will do. Never say emolument when you just mean tip.
Exactly that. Don't dress it up.
So if you're not meant to be actively hunting for bigger words, what's the actual technique he recommends?
It's simple, really. Use the first word that comes to your mind.
The first one, just like that.
Well, provided it feels right. Appropriate and colorful, he says. His point is, if you hesitate, if you start searching around for a better word,
You'll end up with something that's not quite right.
yeah, you'll land on its cousin, he calls it. Something close, but not the real thing. And it weakens the writing.
You can definitely see that difference in styles, can't you? Like,
Right.
you've got H.P. Lovecraft using words like undeteriorative, very dense.
Right, or Cormac McCarthy sometimes.
Yeah.
Very rich, maybe challenging vocabulary.
But King leans more towards who? Hemingway?
Yeah, Hemingway's clarity. Those short, punchy sentences. He came to the river was there. Very direct.
Simple but effective.
But he really holds up John Steinbeck as a master of this.
Yeah,
He
right.
points to a sentence in The Grapes of Wrath. It's like 50 words long,
Okay.
but 39 of those 50 words are just one syllable.
Wow. So complex structure, but built from the simplest possible blocks.
Exactly. Shows you don't need fancy words to build something sophisticated.
Okay, what about the other essential on that top layer? Grammar.
Right, grammar. King's pretty relaxed about this too, in a way. He figures you absorb most of it just by, reading a lot and listening.
He kind of dismisses formal grammar lessons, doesn't he? Like high school English is just the naming of parts.
Pretty much. He thinks the actual core of functional grammar is incredibly simple.
Which is what? What's the absolute minimum you need?
It boils down to 2 things. Nouns, the words that name stuff, and verbs, the words that show action.
Get a noun, get a verb, put them together.
And you've got a sentence. That's the safety net.
That's where his famous examples come from, like rocks explode.
Plum's DFI.
Yeah.
It seems absurd, but the point is structural soundness. Put any noun with any verb, and grammatically, you're safe.
It's like a baseline you can always return to if you get tangled up in complex sentences.
Exactly right.
Okay, so those are the must-haves in the top tray. What about the tools King thinks we should just throw out? The stuff to avoid.
Now we're weeding the garden, as he might say, getting rid of the bad habits.
And number one on his hit list seems to be the passive voice.
Oh, absolutely. He says avoid it like the plague. He does not mince words.
What's the fundamental problem with it, in his view? Why is it so bad?
He finds it weak, tortuous, and often circuitous. Just flabby writing.
And he thinks timid writers use it.
Yeah, he suggests it's a crutch for writers who are maybe afraid to be direct, or they think it sounds more authoritative, more official.
Like in business memos or something, the meeting will be held at 7.
Exactly that sort of thing. Instead of just saying the meeting's at 7, it hides who's doing the action. It lets the subject just lie there passively.
He makes the point really strongly. Why make a dead body the star of your sentence? Let the subject do something.
Precisely. Give your sentences life.
Okay, peeve number 2. Maybe even more famous, adverbs.
Yes, the adverbs. The road to hell is paved with adverbs.
That's quite the statement. He really sees them as weeds, doesn't he? Like dandelions taking over the lawn.
Completely. He thinks they multiply and just clutter everything up.
So what's the underlying issue? Why are they hellish paving stones?
His argument is that using an adverb, especially one ending in cellally, often means the writer is afraid. Afraid their verb isn't strong enough, or that the reader won't get the point.
So instead of finding a stronger verb or letting the context do the work, they tack on an adverb for insurance.
Exactly. Like writing, he closed the door firmly. If the scene makes his determination clear, King argues funly is just dead weight. The verb closed, and the context should be enough.
But the place he really hates them is in dialogue tags, right?
Oh, that's the cardinal sin. The absolute worst. Attaching adverbs to said.
The Swifties.
Yeah, Swifties, named after those old Tom Swift books that were packed with things like he shouted menacingly, or she asked worriedly, or he pleaded abjectly.
It's just awful stuff when you see it like that.
Dreadful. King insists the best way, the most invisible way, is almost always just said.
He points to Larry McMurtry, doesn't he? Using he said, she said, even in incredibly dramatic moments.
Yes. Let the dialogue itself carry the emotion, not the tag. Said is basically invisible to the reader.
It's interesting, though. He does admit he slips up himself sometime.
He does. He calls himself an ordinary sinner on this front. Says sometimes he uses them out of fear, just like the writers he's warning.
That's where he uses that Dumbo analogy, right?
Yeah, Dumbo thought he needed the magic feather to fly, but the magic was in him all along.
So the writer thinks they need the adverb, but the power is actually in the strong verb and noun they already chose.
Exactly. Trust your core tools.
All right, essentials are in, weeds are pulled. Let's talk about the next level down the actual construction structure.
Okay, so building the piece, he starts with the paragraph.
Which he sees not just as a block of text, but as, what, a unit of intention?
Yeah, maps of intent, he calls them. In fiction especially, he thinks paragraphs are less about rigid rules and more about rhythm, the beat of the story.
And the look of them on the page matters too.
Definitely. He suggests paragraph length signals the kind of experience the reader is in for. Short, airy paragraphs. Probably an easy book, faster pace.
Whereas dense, chunky paragraphs signal something else.
Right. Stout, barked blocks, he says, often mean a hard book. Maybe more complex ideas. A slower, heavier read.
He also mentions using single-sentence paragraphs deliberately.
Yeah, for pacing or transition, like a little spotlight. Gives the reader a beat to register something important.
Like his example. Big Tony sat down, lit a cigarette, ran a hand through his hair. Just a moment of action set apart.
Exactly. It breaks the flow intentionally.
Okay, moving from the structure of the text to the structure of the workday, King's routine is legendary.
Oh, it's intense. He treats writing absolutely like a job. No waiting for the muse.
What's the goal? Like 3-4 hours a day?
Yep, 3 to 4 hours, aiming for 6 reasonably clean pages, which he figures is about 2,000 words a day. Every day.
That consistency is incredible. That's how the enormous output happens.
It's pure work ethic, showing up at the desk.
And he has that famous door closed, door open process.
The first draft is written with the door closed. That means you're just telling the story to yourself, no audience in mind yet, just getting it down.
Pouring it out.
Then the rewrite happens with the door open. Now you are thinking about the reader, and your job is to cut everything that isn't the story. Be ruthless.
Streamlining it for someone else's experience.
Exactly.
And in terms of what to write, his advice seems pretty straightforward there, too.
Very much so. Write what you know, sure. But maybe even more importantly, write what you love, what you enjoy.
Don't chase trends or try to write something just because you think it'll sell or impress people.
Nope. He reckons the passion shows. The good ideas, the ones worth pursuing, are the ones that stick with you, that make your pulse quicken.
And you just have to trust that and persist.
Persistence is huge for him. You have to keep going. Remember his story about the rejection slips?
Oh yeah, the nail on the wall. He pinned up so many rejections as a teenager.
That the nail couldn't hold them anymore. It fell out.
So what did he do? Give up?
No. He replaced the nail with a bigger spike, a skewer, and kept hammering away, kept submitting. That's dedication.
That says it all, really. Okay, one last big piece of his process. Plotting, or maybe the lack of it.
Right. King is famously not a plotter. He's what writers sometimes call a pantser, as in flying by the seat of his pants.
No detailed outlines, no intricate charts of what happens when.
Generally, no. He finds that kind of meticulous planning makes stories feel artificial and contrived. He actively avoids it.
So how does he know where the story's going?
He believes the stories kind of make themselves. He starts with a situation. He gives the example of two kids getting lost in the woods, puts characters into that situation.
And just sees what they do, lets them react.
Pretty much. He lets the characters navigate the situation, and the story unfolds from their choices and actions, organically.
So, stepping back from all these pieces, the picture that emerges it's a mix, isn't it?
It really is. It's this blend of the very physical, practical craft, the toolbox, the daily word count, the grammar rules.
Oh, he's the carpenter building the thing meticulously.
Right. And then there's this other side, this more philosophical belief in letting the story discover itself, trusting the process, almost like magic.
Does he actually use the word magic?
He does. He says that while writing is definitely a learned skill, something you build, it can create things far beyond our expectations.
So the craft enables something more.
Exactly. Master the tools, do the work, and sometimes something else happens. He calls that magic. Like with Dumbo, the magic was inside him, not the feather. The skill unlocks the potential.
And a huge part of honing that skill, he stresses, is reading a lot.
Constantly. And not just the good stuff either.
Right. He specifically says read bad books too, which sounds weird initially.
But his reasoning makes perfect sense. He says you learn more clearly what not to do by reading bad prose.
It shows you the pitfalls and bright flashing lights.
Exactly. Sometimes seeing what fails is a clearer lesson than seeing what succeeds.
Which kind of leaves us, and you listening, with a final thought to chew on, doesn't it?
It does. Think about the last time you read something, maybe a book, maybe an article, and it was just bad, clunky, awkward.
What was it specifically? Was it the dialogue that made you cringe? A passive sentence that confused everything? An adverb that felt totally pointless?
Whatever it was, that moment where you recognized the clumsiness that was probably a really valuable, if accidental, writing lesson. What specific thing showed you exactly what to avoid next time you sit down to write? Maybe go back and pinpoint it.